Have you ever wondered what goes inside of a location audio bag? Well, this is my kit, and I've broken it all on this table for us. It's a beautiful day outside, so let's talk about some audio. I'm going to talk about wireless, microphones, cable management, power, the mixer, this shotgun mic, and everything in between. We're going to wire it up in the bag. You're going to see how it all goes together, because I know that when I was getting started in this business, I really wanted to just see how it all goes together in this bag. Because you see a lot of audio engineers running around and they're like, yeah, look at my cool stuff, but we're going to break it all down and we're going to demystify a few things for you today. This is all the gear that I use to do location audio professionally. I do audio for ESPN, Fox Sports, IndyCar, NFL, NBA, corporate projects, documentaries, narrative films. I really cover the gamut with this gear, and we're going to explain how that happens and how all this gear fits together in this bag and why I've made certain choices that I've made. Understanding, of course, that if you talk to 5 audio guys, you're going to get 6 opinions about what goes in the bag. So this is my opinion. This is how I run my bag. Take it or leave it. But I hope you can learn something from what we're going to do here today. We're going to start out with the mixer, okay? This is a MixPre-10 II. This is what I use as the main centerpiece of the bag. Now, again, if you talk to 6 audio engineers, you'll get 10 opinions about mixers. This is the one that I use, MixPre-10 II. Why do I choose this mixer? I choose this mixer because it does everything that I need, and there's only like a couple things it doesn't do that I need. And the one thing it doesn't do is it doesn't have enough outputs for certain scenarios. But other than that, this mixer is amazing. We're going to take a closer look at the MixPre. On the first side, you see inputs 1 through 4, and those are combo jacks, XLR, and 1/4 inch. And then you see BNC timecode in, BNC timecode out. Then you have a USB-A, which is for data transfer. USB-C can be for connecting this mixer to a computer for recording as an interface. And then you can see you have your on-off switch and your X1, X2 outputs. Those are outputs. If we look at this other side of the mixer, this is where you have your next set of inputs, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Also combo jacks, XLR, and 1/4 inch. And then you have an auxiliary in, which is 1/8 inch and can be brought in, you can bring in 2 channels. And then you have your headphones. Then you have the rotary dial right below the headphone jack. And then your 2 main outputs for left and right are TA3, and you can just adapt those to an XLR output. I'll show you that in a minute. On this mixer, I really like on the front here how you have 8 faders across the front. This is your record function, and then this is the shortcut toggle button. If you look on the back of the mixer, you can see that you have your Hirose connection right here for power. You have your SD card slot, and then you can adapt power sleds to go into this thing. You can have AA, L series power sleds that you can adapt for it. On the bottom of the mixer, you have some threads here you can use to mount this to a tripod or a light stand if you want. I will probably be upgrading to an 833 or something else in the Sound Devices line within a couple years, but this mixer is a workhorse. This can do a lot. And I just wanted to dispel some myths that this is not a professional piece of gear. It is a wonderful piece of gear, and I see a lot of these out in the field, people using this. This is a Wisycom MCR54 4-channel receiver. It has a plate on the back that allows me to break out over TA5 to 2 sets of XLRs. And then that's a Hirose connection right there for power. These are Wisycom MTP61s. They're really kind of small. You can see it here in the hand. Put it on top of the mixer. I mean, it's pretty small, right? I mean, it's awesome. That's one of the things I love about this, is that it's small and compact. okay? And then I also run 4 of these Senheisser G4s. These Senheisser G4s are also very flexible. I have been a Sennheiser user for a very long time, okay? We're talking 15 years I've been a Sennheiser user. So I understand the Sennheiser product line really well, and these have been great for me. I'm in the middle of an upgrade to Wisycom. I recently acquired this MCR54 and the 2 MTP61s, and I'm in a transition away from Sennheiser as my primary wireless. You can tune this Wisycom receiver to listen to the Senheisser G4s, and I think that's just awesome. Wisycom is going after the Sennheiser users with that feature. So I've been in the middle of a conversion to this Wisycom gear, and I love it. Let's get to the other part of my wireless kit, and you're going to see these bags on a lot of my shoots. You've probably seen these. These are CRD bags, or sometimes I've heard them called cord bags. I am a huge fan of these bags. I have lots of them in different sizes. So this is where I put my microphones. I have these Sennheiser MKE 2s, otherwise known as Mickey 2s, right? Mickey 2. I got 2 of those. I'm also wearing one to talk to you. When I run the Wisycom transmitters, I have some Sanken COS-11s. So these are Sanken COS-11Ds when I run the Wisycom. When I bring 4 Wisycom transmitters online, I will get them converted to this Limo 3-pin. Gotham Sound will do that for me, which a lot of this sound gear I've bought from Gotham Sound. They're awesome, by the way. Not sponsored, but they're awesome. I'm going to put links to this stuff in the description, but keep in mind, none of this is sponsored. This is just me talking about what I use, all right? Then for headphones, I'm a huge fan of the Sony MDR 7506s. I've used these forever. I mean, I don't remember a time in the last 25 years I haven't used Sony 7506s. I prefer these. I know a lot of guys prefer different things. This is my go-to. They're only $100. They sound really good, okay? Let's talk about power. This is a BDS, otherwise known as a battery distribution system. This is the AudioRoot eSMART BG-DH Mark II. And what this does is it lets me take these smart batteries and power my mixer off of a smart battery. And we're going to talk a little bit more about why that's awesome here as we put the bag together. But these are great, and the only way to use this to power the bag is to use this eSMART BDS, okay? The BDS uses this battery cup, and the way you connect that to your battery is you just click it in like that, okay? And then that goes to the battery distribution system. On the back of the battery distribution system, you have Hirose outputs to get you to all of your gear. I am only currently using 2 of these. So eventually I'll use more, but right now I'm just using 2 of these outputs, okay? Now we're gonna get into cables that I use to get into the mixer, okay? Now this is just my preference, and I understand that everybody has a little bit of a different way to do it, but these are all the cables that I use to come into my mixer. I'm a believer that you can move quicker when you're in the bag if you're not having to plug directly into these. So if you have to be plugging in and out of these, I just don't think you can be as quick. So what I like to do is I take these jumpers, I call them jumpers, and I plug into the port in the mixer, and then that leaves this free so that I can more easily get access to this input or output when I'm in the field and I'm working quickly. So here's my output cables. Again, the mixer that has TA3 output, so this is just a TA3 to XLR, and I got 2 of those, okay? Those are my main outputs that come off of left and right. And then this is my second set of outputs. This is just a mini jack breakout to 2 XLRs. So that's how I get 4 sets of outputs out of this bag. Again, we're going to plug it all up here in a second. I've got a shotgun mic here. This is a Sanken CS-3e. This is what I use as my main boom mic. And this is a wind bubble by Bubblebee. Okay, fits over the top of that. And then lastly, we're going to talk about some timecode. I'm not going to get into all the gritty details about timecode in this video. I'm just going to talk about what I use. All right, so these are all in Tentacle pouches. I've got 6 of these Tentacle boxes. These are Tentacle Sync Mark IIs. I got 6 of those. You know, as with anything, you start out with a couple and then all of a sudden you have 6. I have 6 of them because I've run into situations where I need to feed like 5 cameras. So, you know, can't have enough of those. And then I have 2 of the Track E recorders. I'm using one right now to record myself, but this is the other one. Okay, why do I have these? I have these as backup recorders if wireless completely fails. Then I have this that allows me to put a mic on somebody. It can also extend my microphone count with these, because if I have all my mics out and they're like, hey, can you have a couple more? I have these. They're not wireless, but they're amazing. If you haven't used these yet, this is the Track E. And then in this bag, I have a lot of other goodies. Okay, I'm not going to go through every detail of what's in this bag. I'm just going to say that I've got a lot of other goodies in this bag. So what's in here? We've got timecode cables. I'm going to dump this bag out. We've got timecode cables. Lots of them. All right? So examples of timecode cables that are in here. We've got a way to get from Tentacle to Red, Tentacle to BNC. We've got different types of Red connections. We've got 9-pin LEMO, 5-pin LEMO. We've got XLR, 1/4 inch. We have some ways to get to Arri cameras, Canon, Panasonic. Again, this stack here is a really big investment of cash. And this just helps me have all the connections that I could need to synchronize timecode to all the different cameras I'm going to run into the field. And then these are Kondor blue mounts that I use for mounting my timecode boxes to cameras. Okay, sometimes you can just use Velcro, but these are even more secure of a way to get a timecode box onto a camera. I got 3 of those. One of the things that you're just going to need to understand if you're going to become a location audio engineer is that timecode is your responsibility. You are responsible for bringing timecode gear to set. You are responsible for making sure that your audio recordings are time-coded to the video recordings. This responsibility falls on you. Just get that in your head, okay? As well as slating. The slate is your responsibility. So you have to bring a slate, and you have to be prepared to get all this timecode stuff working on set, okay? The last 2 things I'm going to talk about, I have a backup set of headphones. These are just some Shure in-ear. I think they're about $100. These are just backups because, again, when you're running sound and your headphones go down or break or something, you need to have another way to listen because that's what you're there for, and you need to be prepared, okay? The last thing here is my harness. This is an ORCA harness, and this is what I use to connect the bag to me when I need to be mobile and moving around, okay? And that brings me to the last thing I want to talk about before we start putting the bag together, and that is, which bag is this? Well, this is the ORCA 30. All right? I really love ORCA bags, and I got nothing against K-Tek. I really don't. But I prefer ORCA mainly because it's the first bag I bought, and I got used to how they work. Now, all audio bags should do the same thing, which is provide a place to put the gear in kind of a rigid but, you know, flexible environment. And all of the audio bags that you're going to find should have panels on all the sides to get into the bag. So you can see here that I can open up every side of this bag, okay? And get in the bottom access. get in all the sides like I showed you, get in the top, and then you can actually get in the front and the back. So if I pull this down, you can see that I can get in the front, and I can also get in the back, okay? So these audio bags really are great for what you need them for. I mean, you can get into all the different parts of the mixer, all the different parts of the stuff are accessible, okay? And once you get this all routed up and put together, it's pretty cool. Okay, so I flipped around the cameras. Now I've got a top-down view so we can see how this all goes together when you get it into the bag, all right? First thing you're gonna do is we gotta get the mixer into the bag. On each side of the mixer, I'm gonna plug in all of my extension ports. These are all 1, 2, 3, 4. Because when you're working quickly, you wanna know which cable number you got, okay? So I can't recommend that enough. Whether you do that with an official label maker or just some white tape, you know, label your stuff. You will be glad you did once you get into the thick of it, all right? So I'm gonna start by hooking those up to this side. So when I get those hooked in, they look like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're just jumpered off. And I have them right here, okay? I'm gonna do that to the other side. So you can see I've got that on the other side, blue, red, green, gray, 5, 6, 7, 8 coming off that side. I have easy access to all the ins and outs on the bag, right? I find that to really improve the workability while you're in these scenarios and you're working fast, all right? Then, we've got these blue TA3s. These are my main left and right out. Again, you can see that I am really into labeling, all right? In my world, I label blue as left, red as right. So 1, 2, okay? So I'm coming in here and I'm going to plug this guy out of left. Plug this guy out of right. Make sure I hear a click. And then the way I like to route my bag is I like to route these outputs to the front. So I just take it through the bag and get it into this front pouch so that I know that my outputs are in the front, okay? Inputs are on the sides, outputs are in the front. This is my other output cable. This goes into X1, X2 out. It's a stereo breakout to left and right, blue left, red right. And that just comes out of this other side of the bag. Comes out of the X1, X2. Then I also will route those to the front. So I'll put this through the front of the bag and just have it hang out in that front pocket. Okay, that's my outputs. All right, cool. So for power, I will mount this audio route BDS. I'll mount this right here to the front frame of the bag. Okay, there we go. And then the front compartment of these bags is usually reserved for battery. So I'll just house my battery in here. And then I'm going to feed this battery cup through the bag. And then I can plug in the battery. Cool. So that's the power part of the mixer. So I flip it over, you can see down here, this is how I'm going to access my Hiroshi port on the actual mixer. So that's just what I really like about the Hiroshi connection is that it just clicks in. It clicks in very firmly and securely. It snaps in. That's why I like Hiroshi, because it's not going to fall out. Okay? Then I take that power into the main on this BDS. I'm going to go into the main output right here, the first one. Okay? So that should power up my mixer. I'm just going to test that. You can see the mixer is powering on, so we got that correct. I like this audio route because it has two switches. I'm going to have my mixer on switch 1, and I'm going to have my wireless on switch 2. It's Hirose, so you just have to find the right... There you go. Click. You can hear the nice click. Okay, put that back in there. I'm going to feed the Hirose up through this internal strap. Okay. Plug that in, wait for the click. Okay, nice click. So that's the wireless. I'm going to check it to make sure it powers on with the second switch. Looks like it's booting up. It's working as expected. That's good. Okay. Turn that back off. Okay, then I'm going to plug in my two connections that I use for my wireless. So this is 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Again, I hope you're seeing a trend that I label things in the bag so I know what the heck is happening when I have to move things around. Out of the bottom of this wireless, I'm just going to go out of 1 and 2 for that. And I'm going to go out of 3 and 4 for that. All right, cool. Send those down through the strap. Okay, so those are going down into the bag. And I put a piece of Velcro here so that my MCR54 kind of sticks to the bag and doesn't slide down. In my mixer, I like my wireless to always be tapped into channels 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's my preference. So I'm going to marry the wireless channels with 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so those are wired up. Stuff that in. All right, then we're going to talk about only a couple more things to do here. We've got this cable here. I didn't talk a lot about this when we were talking about the gear, but I would highly recommend a cable like this for your boom. I call this my telephone cord by short. I mean, it's a telephone cord. I really like this kind of cable for the boom because this extends and contracts and it keeps the bag really clean. I prefer to put my boom on channel 5. Again, just my preference. Everybody does it differently, but I prefer to have it on 5. This just stays in the bag ready to go. Usually what I do is I just drape it over the top so that I know if I've got to plug in a boom, I just pull this out, I marry it up. All right, the other reason I like this type of cable is because it's a right angle. So when you're moving around with the boom, you need to rest this like on your shoe or on a table. You know, it's not going to mess with the cable. I really like right angle cables in that situation, okay? So that's about how it is. What I use these front pockets for, these front pockets on this particular ORCA bag come off. I use these to house extra stuff, transmitters, recorder, tentacles. You know, they're really handy to have on the bag. I had an ORCA bag that I used for a while that didn't have that. I really like that. And then the other thing I really like about this particular ORCA bag is that you can zip off this entire front pocket. So this entire front pocket comes off, which can make it lighter and it can make it a lot easier to manage certain things. So I kind of like that. I like how it comes off, okay? So see that? This has a big zipper. So we will zip that back on. So then these are the last cables that I need to live with the bag. These are my Timecode cables. So I will plug this into my auxiliary in. And I've been using this lately for my Timecode, because on every shoot I need to plug a tentacle into this bag and I need to synchronize it to whatever is happening. Okay. I also ride this along, this BNC Timecode. Plug that into the BNC timecode input. And that rides along in there too. Just because, you know, if you haven't picked up on the theme, it's backups and redundancy. So why not have two ways to get timecode in, right? Have BNC and auxiliary, you know? Can't hurt. Tuck my wireless up in the front here. I click them into this front pocket here. So this is how the wireless sort of travels with me in the bag. And then I take these, put the Sennheisers in the front. I take the Wizzies, put them in the back. And then I take this extra Sennheiser that's just chilling. I'm retiring the Sennheisers slowly. As I get more Wisycom gear online, I'm slowly retiring the Sennheisers. And then I just take this set of wireless mics, just kind of plug it in there. All right? So you can see, that's how it all comes together. All that stuff that was on this table is in this bag. Power, wireless, mixer, jumpers, wireless receivers, microphones up front. And we are ready to do sound. So if you made it this far in the video, you are definitely extremely interested in sound. This is how a sound bag goes together. And I'll say it one more time. You talk to 5 audio guys, you're going to get 6 ideas on how all this works, okay? This is just how I do it. This is how I wire up the bag. I know that when I was starting out and trying to learn how to build a bag, it was really hard to find information on the internet. It was complicated. I hope this helps demystify it a little bit. There's 2 reasons to get an audio bag. One is that if you're a filmmaker, videographer, and you just want to improve the quality of the sound that you're getting on set, an audio bag really helps with that. You probably don't need all of this, but a version of this will really help you. The other reason to get a sound bag like this is if you are going to be a location audio person like I am. I've been transitioning into being full-time location audio for many years, and I am now booking lots of work with this bag. This bag was not always like this. This bag was simpler when I first started. I started with a MixPre-6, then I went to a MixPre-10. I didn't have this battery distribution system when I first started. I was powering off of AA's and USB power banks. I didn't have the Wisycom. I was just on Sennheiser. I didn't have this nice Sanken shotgun mic. I had a more simple Sennheiser shotgun mic. Again, you can get started as a location sound person with less than this. You can get started with a MixPre-3, some more affordable wireless. This Wisycom wireless is not cheap. If you look it up, it's not cheap. But the reason I've transitioned into this Wisycom wireless is because I'm being booked on more and more jobs where I have to have bulletproof wireless. And we're going to talk more about wireless in some further videos, but this is the bag that I use. And right now on this bag, I can support, I think I can do 6 channels of wireless. I have the ability to do 2 booms. I have another boom set up. I can send out 4 outputs to different destinations. I can wire up some in-ear, what we call it, comm, for people to listen to the mix. I can do a lot with this mixer. And if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you've seen me do a lot of behind the scenes with this mixer. And I'm really happy with how this is all working. The biggest part of my upgrade path coming in the next year or 2 is going to be to change out from this MixPre-10. Just because I'm going to outgrow it at some point. I haven't completely outgrown it yet. The first thing I outgrew was my Sennheiser wireless, and that's why I'm on Wisycom now. When I was starting out as a location sound mixer, I had a lot of trouble finding videos like this that talked about what is in a sound bag and how to build it. You got to start with the mixer, then you got to move to some pretty rock solid wireless, the best wireless you can afford. You don't need to work on this battery distribution system yet when you first get into this, and then you just build your kit out. My hope for you is that you can start building a kit, you can start booking some work as a sound person, you can enhance the quality of the sound that you're already getting on maybe some of your other projects that you're working on. I just want to see you succeed. I want to see you put a kit together. I want to see you book yourself out for some work and make the cash. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.